After hours of listening to tape after tape, looking at the animatronics, counting their feet, and wrestling with the dreaded dream theory, I quit theorizing about this franchise. But then you release a movie and, well, I can't help myself.
Hello interwebs, I'm Eric.
And I'm Looney.
And welcome to The Looney Turtle. Five Nights at Freddy's is a long and labored series full of animatronics, missing children, and so many family issues. But after the fourth game, I found it hard to keep up, especially since it felt like after every new game and every new book, the story was being retroactively rewritten. It also doesn't help that the games got kind of meta and seemingly wrote out all inconsistencies by saying that the first few games were made by a rogue developer. So games after Help Wanted are like their own canon, while the books are their own canon, and now even the movie deviates from those two because we've got Vanessa Shelley, Steve Raglan, and Mike's brother, and so to me it feels like this movie is a fresh start in the franchise, a point at which we can start to piece together what's going on and build onto that story as the franchise hopefully continues. In that spirit, I want to make sense of this movie universe. Assuming that it's its own world, let's try to ignore what came before and piece together exactly what we learned from this movie, then try to build onto it from there. So, to begin, it might be worth exploring these two characters. They don't have names in this movie, so for the sake of simplicity, I'll be calling them the Afton suit and not Freddy.
But isn't that Freddy?
No, and even the kid tells us as much.
Freddy? Not Freddy.
Beyond that, we see 5 different kids in the film, and each of them have a clear characteristic that connects them to one of the animatronics. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and a golden-haired kid for, well, not Freddy. These two are the black sheep of this movie. We know that they exist and that the golden bunny suit was used in the pizzeria at some point, but it's the main 4 mascots that actually have stages. So these two are something connected to Freddy Fazbear's, but they're not the headliners.
But aren't they just Springtrap and Fredbear?
Probably, but like I said before, this is a bit of a fresh start in the franchise, so maybe they'll go in the direction of the games and have the earliest animatronic location be Fredbear's Family Diner, but we don't know that this location exists, or if it exists in the same way that it did in that universe. The only thing that's safe to say at this point is that these two golden characters are connected to this particular Freddy Fazbear's location and William Afton. The not Freddy costume seems to only exist in spirit, but it's implied that this kid was stuffed into that costume during the missing kids incident. So it gives me the impression that the actual robotic costume isn't functional but still present somewhere in the building. Perhaps in the same place William got his golden bunny costume.
Honestly, that wall seemed like it didn't belong. Is there a secret room behind it? Yeah, never mind. Tell me this, how does Garrett fit into this?
He doesn't. The Schmidt family is kind of weird in this movie. What was once a guy who worked security in the first game is now a troubled man trying to find his brother by intentionally having the same dream every night. What's even weirder is that this abduction happened on a camping trip away from Freddy's, but Afton still carried it out. But then we didn't see what actually happened to Garrett. We know that Vanessa was given his plane at Freddy's in the 80s, but Garrett doesn't possess any of the animatronics we met, so where did he go? Why did Afton abduct him, and despite not seeing it, why did he kill Garrett?
First I killed your brother, now I killed you.
What we can say with confidence is that this movie appears to happen in 2000. Mike was 12 when Garrett was abducted.
And when I was about 12, he was taken.
So, depending on Mike's age, this event probably happened sometime between the late 70s,
if you're really stretching it.
but more than likely happened in the 80s while Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was in business and using the Afton suit to a minor extent. It also helps to know that this specific car was made in the 80s, so it's very likely that Garrett was taken after that point.
Maybe we'll be able to nail that down in the sequel, but how did all the animatronics get possessed?
Well, that's the most straightforward part of this movie. William Afton, disguised as Golden Bonnie, lures the children one at a time to the back room where he kills them and stuffs them in the animatronics. We know this because the opening credits show us the step-by-step abductions, and later on, Vanessa explains how he got away with it.
It's not just their ghosts that are inside of those machines. It's their bodies.
Simple enough, but this is where there's a bit of a hole in this story. This location had to have closed sometime between the 80s and the present, and William was up to something in that time, but the movie universe didn't really show us much happen until the events of the movie. At the very least, we can see that William assumed a different name, Vanessa doesn't have the Afton name, the animatronics get possessed by the missing children, and William Afton figures out how to manipulate the kids by drawing pictures on a wall. Then we have the events of the movie that leaves us in an interesting position. Afton is rotting in the kitchen, the puppet made a couple of cameos, Fritz worked here, I guess, and Golden Freddy is keeping an eye on William. So that is the story so far. As much as I could reach into the games and books to try and expand my understanding of everything, I feel that that would be the equivalent of reading the comics to explain what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sure, it's a way of piecing things together. Hands down, Scott might be showing his hand here. But this is an entry point, a place to begin theorizing about the franchise. So rather than delving into remnants and families and a ridiculous amount of animatronics, I'm going to try and take this one step at a time and look forward to what comes next. I might be making a new theory video on this franchise in the weeks to come, but first, I've got some other videos that have been on the back burner. But for now, I've actually got two people to thank, because without them, this video wouldn't have happened in the same way. Spaceship Pizza, the artist behind Looney's appearance since at least 2015, made some visual assets for this video, such as the Bunny and Mike depictions, and Shade X edited this video together. So thank them for their amazing work, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see all of you in the next video.